Maya was having the absolute worst morning of her life. Her alarm didn't go off, which meant she woke up 40 minutes late. She jumped out of bed in a panic, rushed through her morning routine, and ran to her car only to find it completely dead. No matter how many times she turned the key, nothing happened. Just her luck. She called a taxi, but during the ride, her umbrella broke in the rain. By the time she reached the coffee shop near the hospital, she was soaking wet, stressed out, and running dangerously late for her nursing shift. The emergency room didn't care about bad mornings. Patients needed care, and she had to be there. The coffee shop was packed with the usual morning crowd. Business people in suits, students with laptops, and everyone seemed to be moving in slow motion. Maya checked her watch and felt her heart racing. She had maybe 10 minutes before her shift started, and she still needed to get to the hospital 3 blocks away. She pushed through the crowd, her eyes fixed on the counter. Just a quick coffee to help her get through the long day ahead. That's all she needed. She was so focused on getting to the front that she didn't notice the man stepping backward from the pickup counter, balancing his laptop bag on one shoulder and holding a large cup of steaming hot coffee. The collision happened in slow motion. Maya walked straight into him, and the coffee went flying. The hot liquid splashed everywhere, all over his white shirt, some on her blue scrubs, and even a few drops on the floor. People around them gasped and stepped back. Without thinking, Maya reached out and grabbed his shirt to stop herself from falling. But her grip was too strong, and she heard the terrible sound of fabric tearing near the collar. Her eyes went wide with horror. This couldn't be happening. Not today. Not when everything was already going wrong. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry," she said, her voice shaking. She could feel everyone in the coffee shop staring at them. The man looked down at his ruined shirt, now stained brown and torn at the collar. Maya wanted the ground to open up and swallow her whole. She expected him to yell at her. Most people would. Instead, he looked up at her with these calm, dark eyes and gave her a small smile. "It's okay," he said quietly. His voice was gentle, not angry at all. "Accidents happen." Maya noticed his hand was red from the hot coffee. "You're burned. We need to run cold water on that right away." "I'm a nurse. I can help." She reached for his hand, but then remembered she was already late. She looked at her watch and felt tears starting to form in her eyes. The man noticed her hospital badge clipped to her scrubs. "You work at City General?" he asked. When she nodded, still looking mortified, he continued. "Then you need to go. People are waiting for you." "I'll be fine." "Really? But your shirt? And I tore it, and you're burned," Maya stammered. "Shirts can be replaced," he said with a shrug. There was something in his expression that made her pause. He had kind eyes, the kind that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. Even covered in coffee and wearing a torn shirt, he seemed completely unbothered. "Go save some lives. That's more important than this." Maya didn't know what to say. She wanted to offer to pay for the shirt, to do something to make this right. But her watch showed she had 7 minutes to get to the hospital. "I'm really sorry," she said one more time, her voice barely above a whisper. As she turned to leave, she glanced back at him one last time. He was still standing there, holding his laptop bag, coffee dripping from his shirt, watching her go. Their eyes met for just a second, and Maya felt something strange in her chest. A flutter, maybe, or just the stress of the morning. She didn't have time to figure it out. She ran out of the coffee shop and into the rain, her heart pounding for reasons she couldn't quite explain. Behind her, Ethan stood in the middle of the crowded cafe, touching the torn collar of his shirt and wondering why he was smiling despite everything. He didn't even know her name, but something told him this wouldn't be the last time they met. The barista came over with napkins and an apologetic look, but Ethan barely noticed. He was still thinking about the panicked nurse with the beautiful eyes who had just crashed into his life and run away. 3 days passed, and Maya had almost forgotten about the coffee shop incident. Almost. She still cringed every time she thought about it, especially late at night when her mind wandered. But the emergency room kept her busy enough that she didn't have much time to dwell on embarrassing moments. It was a Wednesday afternoon, and the ER was having a relatively calm day. Maya was catching up on paperwork when the automatic doors burst open. A young man rushed in, supporting a teenage girl who was struggling to breathe. The girl's face was swollen, her breathing coming in harsh, wheezing gasps. "Please help her, she can't breathe," the man shouted, his voice filled with panic. Maya's training kicked in immediately. She grabbed a wheelchair and helped guide the girl into it. "What happened?" she asked, already moving them toward a treatment room. "Allergic reaction," the man said, running alongside them. "She ate something at a restaurant, and her throat started closing up. I have her EpiPen. I already used it in the car, but it's not working fast enough." Maya's heart was racing as she got the girl into the treatment room, but her hands were steady. This was what she did. This was why she became a nurse. She started calling out orders to the other staff, getting vitals, preparing medications. The girl needed help now, and every second counted. It wasn't until she glanced up at the worried man standing by the door that recognition hit her like a truck. It was him. The coffee shop guy. The one whose shirt she had ruined. He was wearing a different shirt now, a blue one. And his eyes were wide with fear as he watched his sister struggle to breathe. Their eyes met, and she saw the recognition hit him too. For a split second, the world seemed to stop. But then, the girl made a choking sound, and Maya snapped back to focus. Nothing else mattered right now except saving this young girl's life. "Sir, I need you to step outside while we work," Maya said, her voice firm but kind. "We'll take good care of her. I promise." Ethan looked like he wanted to argue, but another nurse gently guided him out of the room. Through the window, Maya could see him pacing back and forth, running his hands through his hair, looking absolutely terrified. The next 20 minutes were intense. The doctor came in. They gave the girl more medication, monitored her breathing, and slowly, very slowly, the swelling started to go down. The girl's breathing became easier. Her color improved. She was going to be okay. Maya stepped out of the treatment room and found Ethan sitting in a chair with his head in his hands. When he heard her footsteps, he jumped up. "Is she okay? Please tell me she's okay." Peace. She's going to be fine," Maya said with a warm smile. "The medication is working. We're going to keep her for a few hours, for observation. But she's out of danger." Ethan's legs seemed to give out, and he sat back down heavily. Maya could see his hands shaking. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you so much. She's all I have. Our parents died 5 years ago, and it's just been me and Lily since then. If something happened to her..." His voice broke, and Maya sat down next to him. Without thinking, she put her hand on his shoulder. "She's safe. You did everything right. You got her here in time, and you had already given her the EpiPen. You saved her life." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her, and gave a shaky laugh. "You're the coffee shop girl." Maya felt her face getting hot. "Yeah, and you're the guy whose shirt I destroyed. I'm so sorry about that. By the way, that was... Don't worry about it," Ethan interrupted, shaking his head. "Honestly, after seeing you work in there, saving my sister's life, I'd let you destroy 100 shirts." They both laughed, and some of the tension melted away. He told her about Lily, about how she was only 16 and loved piano and wanted to be a veterinarian, about how he had given up his dreams of studying abroad to stay and take care of her after their parents' car accident, about his small architecture firm that he was trying to keep running while being a parent to a teenager. Maya told him about her family, about her 3 protective older brothers, about her grandmother who still spoke mostly Spanish and made the best food in the world, about why she became a nurse, how she wanted to help people on their worst days, about the exhaustion that came with 12-hour shifts and the weight of losing patience sometimes. Hours passed like minutes. When Lily was finally moved to a regular room and settled in for observation, Ethan walked Maya to the nurse's station. She had to get back to work, but neither of them seemed ready to say goodbye. "Can I buy you a coffee sometime?" Ethan asked, then immediately laughed. "Actually, maybe that's a bad idea given our history with coffee." Maya grinned. "How about dinner instead? Somewhere without any spillable beverages." "Deal," Ethan said, his whole face lighting up. They exchanged numbers, and as Maya walked away to check on her other patients, she couldn't stop smiling. Maybe that terrible morning 3 days ago had been the best accident of her life. 2 months flew by like a dream. That first dinner turned into a second date at an art museum, which turned into weekend walks in the park, which turned into late-night phone calls where they talked until the sun came up. Maya couldn't remember the last time she had been this happy. Ethan fit into her life in ways she never expected. He came to her family's Sunday dinners, where her grandmother immediately adopted him and kept piling more food on his plate. Her brothers, who usually scared off any guy she dated, actually liked him. They talked about sports and construction, and gave him advice on dealing with a teenage sister. Maya became part of Ethan's small family too. She went to Lily's piano recital and cheered louder than anyone else in the audience. She helped Lily with her homework and gave her advice about boys and school drama. Lily started calling her "my future sister," which made Maya's heart swell every time. Everything felt perfect. Too perfect, maybe, because perfect things don't last forever. The cracks started showing slowly. Maya's schedule at the hospital was unpredictable. Sometimes she worked day shifts, sometimes nights. Sometimes she got called in on her days off. She came home exhausted, emotionally drained from dealing with difficult cases. Some days she lost patience, and those days she couldn't talk to anyone. She just needed to be alone with her thoughts. Ethan's architecture firm finally got a big break. A major developer wanted him to design a new office building downtown. It was the opportunity he had been waiting for, the project that could make his career. But it meant working 80-hour weeks, traveling to other cities for meetings, and being constantly stressed about deadlines and budgets. Their date nights started getting canceled. First one, then another, then another. Text messages went unanswered for hours because both of them were too busy. When they did see each other, they were both too tired to do anything but sit on the couch in silence. The tension built slowly, like water filling up a pot until it finally boils over. The explosion came on Maya's birthday. Her family had planned a big dinner at her favorite restaurant. Everyone would be there, her parents, her brothers, their wives, her grandmother, even some cousins. She had told Ethan about it weeks ago. He had promised to be there. But the morning of her birthday, Ethan got a call from his biggest client. There was a problem with the building permits in another city, and he needed to fly out immediately to handle it. If he didn't go, they might lose the entire project. Everything he had worked for could disappear. He called Maya from the airport. She was getting ready for the dinner, putting on her favorite dress, when her phone rang. The moment she heard his voice, she knew. "Please don't tell me you're canceling," she said, her voice tight. "The client needs me in Philadelphia. There's a crisis with the permits, and if I don't fix this, we lose the entire contract. I'm so sorry. I tried everything. You promised, Ethan." Maya felt tears starting to form. "You promised you'd be there." "I know. And I feel terrible. But this is my career. This is how I support Lily. You, of all people, should understand about work emergencies." How many times have you been called into the hospital when we had plans? That was the wrong thing to say. Maya felt something cold settle in her chest. That's different. I'm saving lives. You're saving a building permit. That's not fair, Ethan said, his voice getting harder. My work matters too. Not everyone can be a hero like you, Maya. Some of us are just trying to pay the bills and take care of our families. I never said I was a hero. But at least when I cancel plans, it's because someone might die. Not because a rich client wants a meeting. You know what? Maybe this was a mistake, Ethan said, frustration clear in his voice. Maybe we rushed into this. We barely know each other. We met 2 months ago. Maya felt like he had slapped her. Yeah, maybe you're right. There was a long, painful silence on the phone. Maya could hear the airport announcements in the background. Finally, Ethan spoke, his voice quieter. Maya, I didn't mean, have a safe flight, Maya said, and hung up. She went to her birthday dinner with red eyes and a fake smile. Her family knew something was wrong, but she didn't want to talk about it. She just wanted to get through the night. Her grandmother held her hand under the table and whispered in Spanish that everything would be okay. But Maya wasn't sure about that. The next 3 weeks were miserable. Maya threw herself into work, picking up extra shifts, volunteering for the worst cases. If she stayed busy enough, she didn't have time to think about Ethan. She didn't have time to miss his laugh, or the way he made her coffee exactly how she liked it, or the way he looked at her like she was the most important person in the world. Ethan did the same thing. He worked 18-hour days, buried himself in blueprints and client meetings. Lily asked about Maya constantly, but he didn't know what to say. He had messed up. He knew that. But he was too proud and too hurt to reach out first. Both of them were stubborn. Both of them were miserable. And neither of them knew that everything was about to change in the worst way possible. It was 2 a.m. when Maya's phone rang. She was in bed, not really sleeping, just staring at the ceiling and thinking about Ethan for the 1,000th time that night. When she saw his name on the screen, her heart jumped. For 3 weeks, nothing. And now, he was calling in the middle of the night. She almost didn't answer. Her finger hovered over the decline button, but something made her pick up. Maya. His voice was broken, shaking, barely recognizable. I need you. Lily was in a car accident. They're doing surgery right now, and I don't know if... His voice cracked completely. Maya was out of bed before he finished the sentence. Which hospital? City General. Where else would I go? I'm coming. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Don't move. I'm coming. She threw on clothes and ran to her car. Her hands were shaking as she drove, but her mind was clear. All the anger, all the hurt feelings from the past 3 weeks meant nothing. Ethan needed her. That was all that mattered. She found him in the surgical waiting room, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. His hair was a mess, his eyes were red, and he looked like he had aged 10 years. When he saw her, he just stood there for a moment, like he couldn't believe she was real. Then, he collapsed. Not physically, but emotionally. All the walls he had built up came crashing down. Maya caught him and held him while he cried against her shoulder. His whole body was shaking. She was driving home from a friend's house, he whispered between sobs. Someone ran a red light. They hit her on the driver's side. The paramedics said she's lucky to be alive, but they had to do emergency surgery. They won't tell me anything else. Maya. I can't lose her. She's all I have. I can't. Shh. I'm here. I've got you. Maya held him tighter. Lily is strong. She's going to be okay. She has to be. They sat down together, and Maya held his hand. She used her connections at the hospital to talk to the surgical nurses, getting updates whenever possible. The surgery was complicated. They were repairing internal injuries, fixing broken bones. It was taking longer than expected. 6 hours. That's how long they sat there. Maya never left his side. She got him coffee, made him eat a granola bar even though he said he couldn't. She talked to him about random things to keep his mind occupied. She told him stories about her funny patients, about her grandmother's latest matchmaking attempts for her brothers, about anything that might distract him for even a minute. As the sun came up, painting the waiting room windows orange and pink, Ethan finally spoke about what was really on his mind. "I've been so scared," he said quietly. "After my parents died, I became terrified of losing anyone else. That's why I work so much. I thought if I could control everything, plan everything perfectly, I could keep Lily safe. But I can't. I learned that tonight. No matter what I do, I can't protect the people I love from everything." He looked at Maya, his eyes full of tears. "And when things with you started getting serious, I got scared of that too. Because losing you would destroy me. So, I pushed you away. I made that fight about work, but it wasn't really. I was just scared of caring too much." Maya felt tears running down her own cheeks. "I did the same thing. I've seen so much loss at the hospital, so much pain. I told myself I became a nurse to help people, but maybe part of it was learning how to deal with loss. Learning how to protect myself from getting hurt. When we fought, I let you go because it was easier than fighting for us. I was looking for an excuse to run away before I got hurt." "I don't want to run away anymore," Ethan said, squeezing her hand. "I want to fight for this. For us. If you'll give me another chance." "I want to fight for us too," Maya whispered. They were holding each other when the surgeon finally came out. Both of them jumped up, their hearts in their throats. The surgeon pulled down her mask and smiled. "The surgery went well. She's going to be okay. She'll need physical therapy for the broken leg, and recovery will take time. But she's young and strong. She's going to make a full recovery." Ethan couldn't speak. He just nodded over and over, tears streaming down his face. Maya thanked the surgeon, asked all the practical questions about recovery and physical therapy, while Ethan tried to pull himself together. When they finally got to see Lily, she was asleep, hooked up to monitors and IVs. But her color was good. She looked peaceful. Ethan sat beside her bed and held her hand carefully, like she might break. "You came," Lily whispered, opening her eyes slightly. She was looking at Maya, not Ethan. "Of course I came," Maya said, moving to the other side of the bed. "Your family." "Good," Lily mumbled, already falling back asleep from the medication. "Because my brother is an idiot without you." Even through the tears and exhaustion, both Maya and Ethan laughed. In that hospital room, watching the sun come up through the windows, they made a promise to each other. No more running away. No more letting fear control them. Whatever came next, they would face it together. 6 months after that terrible night, life had found a new rhythm. It wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, still canceled plans, still moments of stress and frustration. But Maya and Ethan had learned something important. Perfect wasn't the goal. Being there for each other was. They developed systems. A shared calendar on their phones, where they marked important dates in red. A rule that no matter how busy they were, they had one sacred dinner together every week. Just the two of them. A promise to communicate honestly instead of letting resentments build up. Lily recovered beautifully. Physical therapy was tough, but she pushed through it. She walked with only a slight limp now, and the doctors said even that would fade with time. The accident had changed her too. She was more thoughtful, more aware of how precious life was. She and Maya had become incredibly close. Sometimes Maya came over just to hang out with Lily, and Ethan would find them laughing together in the living room, sharing inside jokes he wasn't part of. Ethan's architecture firm was doing better than ever. That building project had been completed on time and under budget, leading to more clients and bigger opportunities. He had hired 2 more architects, which meant he didn't have to work crazy hours anymore. He could actually have a life outside of work. Tonight was special. Ethan had won a major architecture award for designing a new community health center. It was a building close to his heart because Maya had helped him understand what healthcare workers really needed from a space. The design included natural light in every room, peaceful gardens for patients and families, and efficient layouts that reduced walking distances for nurses and doctors. The awards ceremony was at a fancy hotel downtown. Maya wore a beautiful red dress, and Ethan couldn't stop staring at her. When his name was called as the winner, he walked up to accept the award with shaking hands. He was supposed to give a short thank you speech, maybe mention his team and his clients. Instead, he did something completely unexpected. "This award means the world to me," he started, his voice echoing through the ballroom. "But it wouldn't exist without someone very special." He looked directly at Maya in the audience. "6 months ago, I met a nurse who literally crashed into my life in a coffee shop. She grabbed my shirt, tore it, spilled coffee everywhere, and ran away." The audience laughed. Maya's face turned red, but she was smiling. 3 days later, that same nurse saved my sister's life in the emergency room. She worked with incredible skill and compassion. And in that moment, I knew she was the most amazing person I'd ever met. Over the past months, she's taught me what real strength looks like. It's the nurses who work 12-hour shifts on their feet. It's the doctors who carry the weight of life and death decisions. It's the healthcare workers who show up every single day to help people in their darkest moments. Ethan held up the award. "This health center is designed for all of you. For Maya and everyone like her, who dedicate their lives to caring for others. Thank you for inspiring me. Thank you for everything you do. And Maya, thank you for grabbing my shirt that day and changing my entire life." The ballroom erupted in applause. Maya was crying happy tears, her hand over her mouth. After the ceremony, as people congratulated Ethan and asked to take photos with the award, he kept looking around for her. Finally, the crowd thinned out, and Ethan suggested they go somewhere quieter. He drove them to the same coffee shop where they first met. It was late evening now, less crowded than that chaotic morning 8 months ago. They ordered coffee and sat at a small table by the window. Maya kept teasing him about the speech, about how he had embarrassed her in front of 300 people. But her eyes were shining with happiness. "I have something for you," Ethan said, suddenly nervous. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small blue box. Maya's breath caught. "Ethan, wait, before you say anything." He opened the box to reveal a beautiful ring with a small, simple diamond. "I know we haven't been together that long. I know some people might say we should wait longer. But I also know that life is short and unpredictable. I learned that when my parents died. I learned it again when Lily had her accident. We don't get guarantees in life. We don't know how much time we have." He took her hand. "What I do know is that I want to spend whatever time I have with you. Through the good days and the terrible days. Through the canceled plans and the exhausting shifts and all the messy, complicated, beautiful moments that make up a life. Maya Rodriguez, will you?" Before he could finish, Maya reached across the table and grabbed his shirt. Just like she did that first day. Except this time it was gentle, playful. She pulled him close and kissed him. "Yes," she said, against his lips, laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes, yes, yes, 1,000 times, yes." Ethan slipped the ring on her finger, his hands shaking slightly. They were both laughing now, holding each other across the tiny coffee shop table, not caring that other customers were starting to notice and smile at them. "You didn't even let me finish the question," Ethan said, grinning like a fool. "Didn't I grab your shirt and change everything the first time?" Maya quoted his own words back to him. "I'm not letting go now. Not ever." They were so caught up in each other that they didn't notice Lily pushing through the coffee shop door, followed by Maya's grandmother. Both of them were carrying a hand-painted banner that read, "Finally," in big, colorful letters. "You planned this?" Maya asked, looking at Lily in surprise. "Of course I did," Lily said, looking very proud of herself. Maya's grandmother came over and hugged them both, speaking rapid Spanish and English. Something about how she knew from the beginning. How she could always tell when two people were meant to be together. How she was already planning the wedding menu. The coffee shop staff came over to congratulate them. Someone offered them free coffee for life at this location. Other customers were taking photos and clapping. It was chaotic and loud and perfect. Later, as they all walked out into the cool night air, Lily between Maya and Ethan, with her arms linked through theirs. Maya thought about that terrible morning, 8 months ago. Running late, stressed out, everything going wrong. If just one thing had been different. If she had left home 1 minute earlier or later. If she had gone to a different coffee shop. If she hadn't crashed into Ethan and grabbed his shirt. None of this would have happened. Sometimes the best things in life come from the messiest moments. Sometimes you have to spill a little coffee and tear a few shirts before you find what you were looking for all along. Sometimes you just have to grab on tight and hold on for the wild, beautiful ride. And as Maya looked at her future husband and her soon-to-be sister, surrounded by family and love, she knew one thing for certain. She wouldn't change a single thing about how their story began. Not even the ruined shirt.